Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, April 4, 2018. I'm Investor Boynes with the details. There is a growing need for the nation's youth to turn away from a chubby lifestyle. That's according to Minister of Health and Wellness and the Environment, Luke Brown, as he highlighted SVG's ongoing battle to lower the cases of non-communicable diseases. Minister Brown was at the time speaking at the launch of a fitness program initiated by the BeFit movement, which has taken up the challenge to provide support to persons affected by and living with diabetes, a non-communicable disease. The event, according to Minister Brown, signals the efforts of the BeFit movements and all other involved partners to invest in the health and wellness of the Vincentian society.
A new culture in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because we recognize that there are certain risk factors associated with non-communicable diseases, and that is why it is important for the Minister of Health to be at an event like this. The Ministry recently launched what we call a Health and Wellness Commission, and one of the mandates of the Health and Wellness Commission is to see what it could do to bring the problem of non-communicable diseases under control. And I could say, and I'm very happy to say, that the work and activities of that commission dovetail very nicely with what is being done by BeFit. On the support of the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, I took note of the point that you made in relation to assisting with logistics of transportation for children from the more remote parts of the country. Is something that I hope to assist with, and in the future.
In his remarks at the opening ceremony, head of the organization and trainer Lyndon James said the activities will take place in the coming weeks and months, will among other things aim to address growing health issues such as juvenile diabetes through needs-based planning processes.
It's one of the main things that is one of the main diseases that a lot of persons who is exercising with me have, right? So I realized that there is actually a need to raise the awareness of diabetes in general, and more so speak out about or raise the awareness on juvenile diabetes, where kids or children is concerned. Every step, every run, anything you do on that day, once you at the event, is to raise the awareness of children struggling with diabetes.
James went on to give an overview of the flow dance for fitness component of the event.
Everyone will be gathered just outside this building on Isvale playing field at the administrative center, right? We will be having a music truck station right outside here, and we'll be chipping / walk out behind the truck all the way over to the E.T. Joshua Airport tarmac. Be a health exhibition where Kidney Association, the Diabetic Association, Flow, everybody who is involved in the awareness campaign. Also over there, we'll have other fitness trainers.
The fitness trainer further highlighted the significance of a 5K run or walk exercise, which he noted will see the participation of a number of students from across SVG.
Do the run / walk from Blue Lagoon. The Sajiko 5K run start at Blue Lagoon to the E.T. Joshua tarmac, right? This event is also very dear to me, and it's because a lot of the children will be involved in it. We confirm about 12 schools who will be taking part in this 5K run. We did not to give monetary contribution to the schools for various reasons, right? But for the school category, I decided to we decided to donate a training kit, a school training kit.
A team of medical doctors and nurses from the Organization for International Development, the OID, is currently in the state providing free medical care to persons in several communities. SVG-TV Sharon Garaway caught up with members of the medical mission at Belvedere today, where they were stationed at the Ebenezer Gospel Hall Church, and filed this report.
Hundreds of persons throughout SVG are expected to receive medical care through an initiative by Vincentian-born Dr. Susan Billinghurst Hamlet and the Organization for International Development, OID, from the United States. Billinghurst Hamlet, who is a native of St. Vincent, migrated to the U.S. some 30 years ago and has built her career in obstetrics and gynecology. She told us that medical care ranging from dentistry to pap smear to surgeries have already been given by her team of some 13 doctors and nurses in Vermont, and they continue today in Belvedere and will go on to Rillen Hill tomorrow. Dr. Billinghurst Hamlet says that their services have been impactful thus far.
I'm also a physician assistant, and my specialty is obstetrics and gynecology. I also do some correctional health in New York, so I also work at Rikers Island. So at the end of the day, I'm responsible for a grant, and my primary purpose is sexual and reproductive health. So I like to make sure that spacing of pregnancy, prevention of ending pregnancy, and of course it's all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's my function. And growing up in St. Vincent, one of the things that you will say, do not touch the fire, guess what? We have to make sure that we educate our clients, our patients, to say that if you're going to touch the fire, why? Why not to do it? So I went into sexual and reproductive health up over GYN to make sure that I can take care of women, and I also can take care of the men, because women and men come together in the same accord. So what we are doing here, we have 2 GYN, myself a PA and a gynecologist. We did surgery in the hospital yesterday. So yeah, wonderful. We have dental, we are doing dental today, and we have medicine. Right now we're doing dental for the kids and the adult, and we're only doing adult for medicine and gynecology, because there are certain guidelines that you can only do certain exam after a certain age. So that's what we're doing here today at Ebenezer Gospel Hall.
The medical practitioner, who is originally from Rillen Hill, reiterated the importance of giving back and said that she is pleased to assist the people of her native island.
I've always liked to help folks. As a Vincentian, I joined the Organization for International Development, which is a non-for-profit organization that does medical mission throughout the world in New York. I've gone to many missions with them. I've gone to Haiti, Jamaica, we have gone to Africa, but I've not been on those African trips. A light bulb went off one year that I think I was in Haiti. I said, wait a minute, guys, I'm from St. Vincent. We got to come to St. Vincent. So 2 years ago, this decision was made to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take care of my folks. And that's why I'm here. So for 2 years, I've been planning this mission, and today it has come to fruition.
Another Vincentian on the medical mission is Dr. Adrian Llewellyn. The emergency doctor expressed elation to use his knowledge to assist others.
I was at a national conference when I met Susan, and Susan had told me that she was coming to St. Vincent on a missionary. I was like, Susan, can I join you? She said, sure, the more the merrier. So it was actually a full circle that I was born here and actually am now coming back to help the people on a missionary mission. So here I am, and it's just rewarding. There is a lot of work to be done still, but I am so glad that I'm here, and the folks that we have seen so far are very, very grateful, very, very thankful.
The importance of using one's professional experience to give back is an important aspect of anyone's life. And that is exactly what Susan Billinghurst Hamlet and her team are doing here at the Ebenezer Gospel Hall and throughout the country. And it is encouraged that other Vincentians must do the same. Reporting for SVG Television News, I am Sharon Garaway.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Organization for International Development, Dr. Roy Street, said that the 28-year-old non-profit organization has impacted many worldwide. The Jamaican-born dentist stresses the importance of having medical care from an early age. In his delivery of medical care here in St. Vincent, Dr. Street said more can be done to ensure that children from an early age know the importance of taking care of their oral health in particular.
Dentist, and I must say yesterday in particular, I was a little bit, well, actually, I said I had to work very hard anyway, and some of these children who I saw, and I was a bit, I was a bit concerned to see the kind of rampant decay in that population. We were in Vermont, yes, and today where we are here is not as bad, but I know we don't see a lot of children, but I think there's a great need for dental care here, education in particular. For the most part, people, especially when it comes down to dentistry, they don't go to the dentist until they're having some kind of pain. So you really have to go to them, and I see where our experience is that when we start from the early age and teaching the children from 2-3 years, particularly in the school, about oral health, you find a big difference in the population when you return. So I think education is a big thing. We're just here for a short.
Some of the persons who came out today in Belvedere to receive medical care expressed gratitude for the service and praised the team for their efforts.
The doctor?
Well, if I had to go to the doctor, well, I did have to pay. And then now I had to pay.
Well, I think it's a very good gesture on the lady's part. I understand she's a sister of the soil, and she has agreed to come back and dedicate her services along with her friends. So it's a good gesture on her part. Yeah, I did some dental work, and now I'm going to have my pap smear done.
I feel great.
Okay, and what did the doctors do to you? What did they do?
They didn't do anything to me yet.
But let me see, what you have in your kit there?
A toothbrush, and they have to show you how to brush your teeth good and shiny.
So they help to show you how to brush your teeth and keep it clean?
Yes.
I'm glad that the people took the opportunity to come and, get this thing done, because somewhere else you would have to pay a lot of money, and things what they don't know about themselves, they could get to know more about their body.
They choose our church, Ebenezer Gospel Hall, and I'm overwhelmed to see that we can reach all the persons in the Brighton area and give assistance to the poor and indigent.
I think it's very commendable when you have received and you're still in a position to give back to society, especially those who really can't afford it, because medicine and medical attention is very expensive, and when you can get so much things under one roof, I think it's extremely good.
Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has expressed concern with the issue of promotions in the police force and across the civil service sector. His remarks came as he delivered an address at the opening ceremony of the recently concluded RSVG Police Force Non-Commissioned Officers Conference at the Peace Memorial Hall. Dr. Gonsalves, who is also the Minister of National Security, highlighted the need for promotions to be taken very seriously within the local security forces.
People don't want to write. If a superintendent is in charge of a district and he's writing something which is adverse to somebody, must be man enough to say to that officer, well, listen, you see the last 6 months or a year, I do not think that you have performed up to the level, and these are the objective indicators which I have used, and I'm going to write this on your file. But equally, when that person improves and that person performs well, you must write that also down. Be more meaningful communication. I mean, it's a big number we have, but we're still a small organization. If you look at it, absolutely.
PM Gonsalves went on to note that consideration should be given for more officers to obtain higher ranked roles within the organization.
We have enough superintendents. We have 8. We had 7 when the force was 665. 8 sufficient with 921. Maybe it should be 10. We should interrogate these things. We had 9 ASPs in 2001. We have 11 now. Should it be 13? Inspectors were 17, they're now 18. Surely there must be a case for more inspectors. The additional costs are not going to be significant, but it may lift the level of organization, because you don't want all the roads to be leading to just a few people. You get overwhelmed.
The Prime Minister took the opportunity to speak to the officers gathered at the conference on the issue of retirement. He noted that the officers should be able to make valuable use of their knowledge and skills after they leave the force.
Not only the issue of retirement benefits are vital, and we have those, but you yourself must be in a position at 60 to go into another job of value, because we are living longer. So when you retire at 60, it doesn't mean that you can't do things meaningfully until you're 65 or even 70. Here I am.
Youths across SVG are set to benefit from a number of developmental initiatives to be spearheaded by the Youth Affairs Department in the Ministry of National Mobilization during the year 2018. Speaking at the recently held initiation ceremony for the 2018 CARICOM Youth Ambassadors SVG Committee, Assistant Youth Officer Kesley Cambridge provided a brief overview of the initiatives. Cambridge outlined that the scheduled work falls under the mission of the department, which seeks to improve the quality of life of the youth of SVG,
while promoting their general development and ensuring their full participation in nation building. The first mandate, we aim to implement the 4H program to an additional 50 youths by end year. Also, we look to implement a youth in agriculture program targeting 20 youths to become farmers so they can use farming as an alternative means of economic sustainability. Additionally, we intend to execute 5 community-based awareness campaigns on issues affecting the youth, as well as to promote leadership development of 75 youth in civic, mentorship and judicial process. All of this we want to complete by end of year.
The Assistant Youth Officer took the opportunity to commend the work of youth organizations such as the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors SVG Committee, which he noted seeks to instill leadership qualities among the nation's youth.
The CARICOM Youth Ambassadors and the Youth Affairs Division share the same vision. It is my hope that as we make a greater effort to collaborate with various programs that both the CARICOM Youth Ambassadors and the Youth Affairs Division engage in, that there will be a greater awareness of possible avenues for growth among our young people, and there will be an increase in the number of young people who join organizations such as this.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Maureen Williams, is of the view that more needs to be done to improve not only the qualifications of teachers, but also the school environment here in SVG, as the country continues its thrust towards achieving universal early childhood education. Williams was at the time speaking at the official launch of a 5-year Organization of American States Development Cooperation Fund project, which is geared towards restructuring the early childhood curriculum here in SVG. Noting that the government of SVG remains committed to education at all levels, Williams added that a revised curriculum is one aspect of improving the quality of services offered in early childhood centers across the nation.
We are therefore very grateful to the Organization of American States for their willingness to partner with us in restructuring our early childhood curriculum. We will endeavor to craft a curriculum that is tailored to meet the needs of our young children and with a Caribbean particularity. Since play has been identified as an integral part in the way our young children learn, this will form a major part of the new curriculum, just to give a bit of insight into what we are thinking. So too will movement and music, and of course, technology. We believe exciting times are ahead for our early childhood subsector.
Also speaking at the project launch was the Director of Economic Planning, Laura Anthony Brown, who gave an account of the government's thrust towards improving early childhood education services in SVG.
In some of our primary schools, we have included provisions for kindergarten, and also we have made available in some schools as well a wide range of equipment and materials to support the development of early childhood education, and we are hoping that these would naturally enhance the learning. I also want to say at this point that the government applauds the entrepreneurial spirit which has fueled the opening of several preschools in our country. At the same time, we wish to support these preschools by offering solid guidelines and standards which support these preschools, and guidelines and standards which would both be at the same time exciting and appropriate for our nation's children's development.
Social and political activist Renwick Rose believes that the life of the late Winnie Mandela should inspire other women in this country and around the world to speak up for their rights. Speaking with our news team on the passing of the anti-apartheid activist and former wife of the late South African President Nelson Mandela, Rose said the woman who many refer to as a giant has earned her stripes. He, however, expressed disappointment with the approach taken by the Western media, whom he said was trying to portray the woman who fought years against apartheid in an unsavory light.
Well, I think with the rest of the freedom-loving people in the world, particularly those who have been associated with the struggle to end apartheid, for freedom of Mandela and the other freedom fighters in South Africa, it must, of course, be seen as a loss. And I think it is unfortunate that in recent times, the Western media in particular have tried to focus a lot on negative publicity about Winnie Mandela. I think they are doing a disservice to her in terms of the tremendous contribution she had made to the liberation struggle in Africa, for the freedom of her husband, who became first black president of South Africa, and for upliftment of black people all over the world. I think it's also important in terms of being a woman, the strength of a woman in getting involved in that kind of struggle, having to do without her husband, being separated from her family. So I think all of those qualities are qualities that we must cherish and highlight, and not be fooled by the Western media, which keeps bombarding us with entirely negative activities, perhaps in the last days of her life.
Rose, who has been part of the African Liberation and Black Pride movement, believes that Vincentian women must show similar courage in the face of adversity.
For a very long time, a part of the anti-apartheid, anti-racism struggle, we have had many rallies on African Liberation Day and so on. And I think even though the context has changed, it is important for us to continue to raise the issues of black pride, the rights of black people, the freedom for black people all over the world. I agree with what Mandela and the ANC at the time did. One can argue whether who is right or wrong, But what was important is that she had the courage to speak out about it. And I think it's important, particularly in our country, to encourage our women. That is something I would like to see more and more women involved in terms of being able to speak out about the wrongs in the society and advocate the right things in terms of upliftment of people and carrying black people forward.
Former Minister of Culture Rene Batiste said the freedom fought for by the late Winnie Mandela must never be taken for granted. Speaking with SVG-TV News, Batiste said that the younger generation must be taught about the sacrifices made by the late South African activists.
Carried the fight. People looked to her for leadership because they felt that his spirit is living in her, and his focus on what would be right for apartheid South Africa at the time, that she was the freedom fighter. She was on the ground. She was in the road. She was there in the front line. And this is what you call actually fighting for rights. Sometimes when I hear people say they're fighting for rights, I say how beautiful it is to do that in this atmosphere where so many freedoms are now taken for granted. But at the time, when we had the protest songs from Bob Marley, and I think that kind of, that song, Until This Philosophy, that makes one man inferior and the other one superior, is totally gone. Everywhere is war. He was talking about the war, the fighting to be equal, the fighting for justice, and Winnie Mandela was a picture of the fighting of equality.
Batiste is also of the view that while the former wife of the late Nelson Mandela made mistakes, they should never take away from the change she helped to bring about.
Remember, there is always an agenda. There will always be an alternative agenda. And yes, she made mistakes, because sometimes when you're in the middle of the battle, it's not that always possible for you to always do the right thing, always take the right path. You will make mistakes. And she knows that at times she would have made mistakes. And that is because there's something called being in the middle of the battle. And knowing that so many people looked up to her, she knew that she couldn't be right 100% of the time. But she did the best she could. And that should not take away the mistakes that she made, or the missteps that she made should not and should never take away from the tremendous contribution she has made.
On another note, President of the SVG Bar Association, Rene Batiste, said the late Queen's Counsel Andrew Cummins would be remembered for his integrity and ability to make law lively. Batiste said Cummins was a champion, noting that he remained humble as he practiced law with uprightness.
Was a phenomenal lawyer. A man who's humble, had a biting sense of humor, and yet most courteous and respectful. And I enjoyed looking at him practice before the bar. As a matter of fact, as I indicated to some of the younger practitioners, that when I left the offshore authority and came to my private practice before the bar, I would go to court just to listen to him presenting his case and the way that he would cross-examine witnesses, and it made you fall in love all over again with the law. It made it so alive and most interesting.
Speaking of the special sitting of the High Court tomorrow morning, where tributes will be paid to the late legal luminary, Batiste said that the public is invited to attend the function, which begins at 9 a.m.
But he never lost his humility. Very courteous, stuffed with integrity, a good man. And of course, Miller House champion, I can't forget that. I can still see him in my mind's eye, taking that field at Richmond Hill with such joy and such pride for St. Vincent Grammar School. That's how I remember him. taking those quick strides, those 100 yards. A champion, a legal icon. We've lost a great soul.
Opposition Senator Sherlyn Zita Banwell will leave the state tomorrow, April 5th, to attend the Caribbean Democrat Union Women's Conference and Network launch in Miami, Florida from Friday, April 6th to Sunday, April 8, 2018. The conference will bring together female political leaders and activists from Belize, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. According to a news release from the opposition New Democratic Party, Senator Banwell will be joined by Shannon O'Connell, Senior Gender Advisor at the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, and Felicia Drummond, former Conservative MP and member of the UK Parliament's Women and Equalities Committee, in a panel discussion on barriers to and opportunities for women's participation in political parties and parliaments. Police here are investigating a motor vehicle collision involving motor vehicle PR-273 owned and driven by Florence Woods of Belair and motor vehicle P-2432 owned by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and driven by Crystal Hamilton of Belair. Reports are the vehicles collided along the Goss Public Road at 4:15 p.m. on Monday, April 2nd. Rosanna Huggins, a resident of Gumee and a passenger of PR-273, reportedly sustained injuries to her forehead and was taken to the Georgetown Health Center where she was treated and discharged. Both vehicles sustained extensive damages. Both drivers are said to be assisting the police with the investigations.